Fox 17 rock interview on the road with Danny Shirley from the Confederate Railroad, multi-platinum winning band. And you guys have been touring for years. You got a brand new album out now. Lucky to be alive.
Amen.
Which, the songs are so great. You guys did a remake of your Trashy Women, which was a huge hit for you. And then the rest of them are all new songs, Danny.
Yeah, we've got 11 new songs, and of course the remake of Trashy Women, which we did for charity. All the proceeds from Trashy Women go to charity. Had some great people help me with this. I did the chorus. Got John Anderson singing the first verse.
Oh my gosh.
Willie Nelson singing the second verse, and Colt Ford doing the third verse.
Wow.
And a special appearance by my old buddy Jerry Glanville, who used to coach the Falcons.
Yeah.
So, it was a lot of fun.
You even got Charlie Daniels involved in this record too.
Charlie's on the album. Dan Tominski.
Yeah.
I actually wrote my first bluegrass song.
Really?
And Tim Halston and Dan Tominski played on it from the old Lonesome River Band.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun making this record.
Well, I think what's so fun, I think what the viewers are going to enjoy when they buy the new album, Danny, is that, it's got the Confederate Railroad feel on a lot of the songs, which are great. Always party music. You know what I mean? I always associate that when you guys hit big. But then also you sort of stretched out with some bluegrass and some different, you've got different genres within one album.
We did do some different things. When I started putting this album together, I wasn't really writing to do a Confederate Railroad record. A lot of these new acts have come up to me and saying they were fans growing up, and I thought, well, I should be writing things and pitching to them, which I've never pitched our stuff before.
Right.
But then it started sounding more like a Confederate Railroad record, and I thought, well, let's just do a better quality demo here,
right?
And we'll sell it at the shows. And then there was some interest from a label, and ended up getting a deal with Sony on this.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you worked with Blue Miller in his studio over the last 3 years to record it then, right?
Yeah, Blue and I have been friends for well over 20 years, and we write quite a bit together. And Sonny Lemaire, an old friend of mine from the band Exile, who's written such classics, he got in with us, and the three of us have really it's really been a great experience spending time with these guys.
It's a great album.
I was never the type that could sit with somebody that I didn't know and write a song.
Right. Oh, totally.
And the three of us, we're so close, you're bearing your soul to each other, And we did stretch out and do some things that are different for railroad listeners. But I think probably 70-75% of it's going to be pure railroad music.
Yeah.
And then the other 20-25% is going to be a little different.
Well,
which I think that's good over time.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think you're going to find a broader listening audience, particularly the young people too that are finding you now. But Across the Line, that song was really, that one dug deep.
That was different for us, on the old albums. Most of the time I really stayed away from love songs, even the ballads. I like doing more family things, like Jesus Mama, Cadillac Kind, When You Leave That Way. But we did do a few relationship songs on this album, and I'm real proud of them.
They sound great. Now, I want to bring it up too. A lot of viewers may not realize, because even for me, when you guys hit it big, it's like, wow, there's Confederate Railroad.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere. Where were they hiding? And when you know more about, your background to where you guys toured with David Allan Coe and Johnny Paycheck, and got your start there. And that's, so I want you to tell one of your Johnny Paycheck, no, actually it was David Allan Coe stories that we were talking about off camera.
About the interview?
Yeah, when you guys were driving around.
David and I are still real close. He's one of my best friends in the world. We've been friends for, well over 30 years.
Yeah.
I worked for him for years, been all over the world together. And like I say, still real close. David can be a little rough around the edges, as we all know. And after the first album hit big, I was going to do vocals on the second album, the Notorious album, and ran into David here in Nashville. Yeah. And he got in the car with me. We drove over, and he says, I read this interview you did the other day, kind of ticked me off. And I laughed, and I said, what did I say about you? And he said, you told this guy you learned more about what not to do in the music business than what to do. He said, then I got to thinking and realized he was probably right. But it was a great education, being on stage with Johnny Paycheck and David Allan Coe. And
also touring with George Jones.
Oh, George was great to me when I first came to Nashville. When we first, even after we had hits, the Nashville music community was a little leery of us. The past with Coe and Paycheck, and we were pretty rough around the edges back then.
Well, and it was something new musically.
It was different.
Kind of crossed genres.
And George stepped up and took us out on tour with him, and it was like after that you could feel the difference from the Nashville music community. Well, if George likes them, they must be okay, you know. And we toured together off and on right up till he passed away. You know, he was such a good man to me.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I'll tell you what, and you're paying off now doing the same thing with a lot of the younger and newer musicians who are coming up to you, going, you know, hey, when I was
cool,
little,
yeah.
I started out listening to Confederate Railroad, just like you did
Yeah.
with Waylon.
Oh yeah, I remember going to Waylon, and after we got to know each other, I didn't come to him right off and say, man, you know.
Yeah.
But after we got to know each other, I told him, I said, you're what made me a country music fan. And you know, to have these young guys come to me and say they listened to me growing up, and you know,
That's incredible.
made them decide that's what they want to do. One real well-known songwriter came up to me and said, "You're the reason I got into country music." And I'm like, "Great, write me a song."
Well, speaking of which, where can viewers find, you know, the tour for Confederate Railroad, and also, you know, buy the album and everything else, Danny?
Well, we've got, of course, the Confederate Railroad website, confederateраilroad.net. We've got our Facebook account. You know, people can keep up with that. And you know, the album is available just about everywhere. iTunes.
Yeah.
Just go to our website for information. Probably the best thing.
Sounds good, and you guys are going to be touring all summer long, you know, with a lot of songs from the new album, and then also obviously your big hits.
Oh yeah, we never work off a set list. You know, we tried that about 3 shows. We was all about to fall asleep back in the '90s, and I haven't done a set list since then. But you know, basically, I tell the band what the first song is, and then we just kind of wing it after that. But we'll always do the hits. A lot of times, I go back to Coe and Paycheck days and do a little tribute to them. And we'll throw in some of the new songs, and a lot of people have their favorite album cuts.
Well, you know what I always enjoyed
different.
seeing you guys live. I think one of the best things, Danny, was that you guys always seem like you're having fun.
Oh,
and to me,
man.
you know, as a listener and enjoying your music, it makes it more enjoyable to see the band having a really good time on stage.
Oh yeah, I think I agree totally. You know, if I go to a show, I don't want to see some guy get up there and think, "Okay, you paid $20, I'll sing for you if I have to." You know, I mean, I'm glad to be there, man. I appreciate every minute of this. You know, we every show we've ever done, we still stay and sign autographs. We meet
To the end, and you take pictures with everybody.
shake every hand.
Yeah. And that means a
Willie
lot.
Nelson told me the coolest thing. He said I met him in London when I was working with David. First time I met Willie. And, you know, he was the biggest thing in country music and always on my mind, and all that was happening. And said he hired this new security guy one time. And they were out walking around one morning, and somebody stopped Willie and asked him for an autograph. And next thing you know, there's just a mob around him. This new security guy says, "Boss, do you want me to get rid of these people?" Well, he said, "Lord, no, son, it's been 30 years getting asked for it. Don't run them off now." But, and that's the way I feel about it. You know, every autograph, every picture, you know, we're just happy to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, we sure are glad you got a brand new album out. Came out this week, and everybody's going to be buying it, and I'm going to have to catch you on this new tour, too.
You got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Danny and Shirley from the Confederate Railroad. Be sure and catch them and buy the new album. It's out this week. Thanks for watching.